Is Russell T Davies adapting this Doctor Who comic from the 80s? Okay, so this week I was planning on making a video about the possibility of the Trickster or the Valeyard in the 60th anniversary, but some new set photos have been released as I was preparing to make that video, which kind of make that a bit redundant now.
And obviously, if you don't want any of this being spoiled, because these are probably potential spoilers, don't watch this video, because if any of this is true, then you're going to get basically most of the story spoiled for you.
So these more recent set photos that have kind of contradicted this idea show a few things. Some insectoid-like creatures, a fluffy bunny rabbit looking creature, a UFO or an escape pod, and some more shots of UNIT. But before I dive deep into these set photos, I'm first going to tell you about the Star Beast comic. So Doctor Who and the Star Beast was a fourth Doctor comic book story published in Doctor Who magazine in the 1980s, which saw Beep the Meep, a part of the Meep race, which were once a happy and advanced race of aliens who were turned into a conquering savage beast by black sun radiation, crash his ship in Black Castle. The fourth Doctor then unknowingly led the Wrath Warriors, who are an intergalactic police force biologically constructed from the 5 strongest species in the Wrath Galaxy, specifically to deal with Meeps, to Beep's ship. So this comic book story is quite obscure, at least for most casual Doctor Who fans. I hadn't really heard of it. I think I'd maybe seen an image of Beep the Meep at some point, and that's about as much I knew about it. And it's also a pretty wacky one. I mean, just look at what Beep the Meep looks like. He's a cute little bunny rabbit looking creature, but he's actually a savage alien. And so yeah, the general story is Beep the Meep crashes on Earth, and the Wrath Warriors, which are basically space police, are trying to find him. And these new set photos that have been released lend a lot of credence to the theory that this is what 60th anniversary, or at least this one episode, this one special, is going to be about. So the first hint of this story being the Star Beast story is that the insectoid creatures that we've seen set leaks of look very similar to the Wrath Warriors. They're both insectoid-like creatures. They're quite tall. They both have red eyes, which for the Wrath Warriors gives them their infrared night vision. And from one of the set videos, they appear to be bulletproof, which the Wrath Warriors have been told to have very tough skin, so I assume they are meant to be bulletproof. The second hint at this story being the 60th anniversary is this set photo and video of a bunny rabbit looking creature, which looks very similar to Beep the Meep. Now, this footage is quite low res, but it does seem very similar to Beep the Meep, but I personally do think this looks quite a lot like Beep the Meep. The third hint of this theory could be true is that we've also seen an escape pod or UFO on some of the leaked set images, which looks like it could very well be Beep the Meep's escape pod or ship. And there was also a description of a scene being filmed on Twitter by Davey Boy, which I went into more detail on in my other 60th anniversary leaked videos, which describes the Doctor scanning a ship which then crashes nearby. So this very well could be relating to the same escape pod or ship, which could be Beep the Meep's ship. Now, the final bit of evidence for me which suggests that this could very well be the case is that during the RTD era, Russell T Davies liked adapting previous expanded media stories from Doctor Who. For example, my favourite Doctor Who story, Human Nature, Family of Blood, was adapted from a Virgin New Adventures story during the Wilderness years, and the Series 1 story Dalek was adapted from a Big Finish story, Jubilee. So especially with Russell in control, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they will be adapting a previous Doctor Who story from expanded media, especially one as obscure as this comic from the 80s. So with all the evidence out of the way, here's how I think it's going to go down. David Tennant's degenerated or 14th incarnation of the Doctor is going to bump into Donna and her family in a way that I've described in my previous video. You will then see Beep the Meep's ship or escape pod crash in the distance. The Doctor will then go to investigate the pod, which will be empty, and he will likely see UNIT investigating the pod there too. The Wrath Warriors will also land on Earth, attempting to find Beep the Meep. UNIT will likely deem the Wrath Warriors as a threat and try and shoot at them, but with the Wrath Warriors being bulletproof, this doesn't prove successful, and I assume some UNIT soldiers will probably get killed by them. At some point in the story, Doctor and Rose will find Beep the Meep, or the story may focus on them trying to bring Beep the Meep to the Wrath Warriors. Now, that's a loose idea of how I think the story's going to go. I don't know a whole lot about the original comic book story besides a basic synopsis, so that's as much as I've managed to speculate, and it's also possible that this could differ quite a lot from the original comic book story, if it is even based on that in the first place, which I personally think it will be. So what do you guys think? Do you think this theory is likely? And if you're interested in more about the 60th anniversary and how it's going to go down, I've made a whole video about all the leaks that we've got so far, which you can watch here.